Good morning. This is the front of our new house here. When I designed the house, this big area here at the front that I wanted lots of glass because it's all open plan downstairs. So as a result, to make it in balance, I had to make a door which is quite big. The door is almost 4 foot. It's 1.2 meters, well, a little over 1.21, and it's 8 foot high. It's 2.4 something high. And because the door is so big, we have to make the door a lot stronger and heavier. So I got some mahogany some time back there, and I left it in the room here to dry. Well, I left it outside to dry first, and then I leveled it off a little bit. This is rough mahogany now. And then today I'm going to start making the door. The door is going to be have two styles, top rail, middle rail and bottom rail, and I'll show you in a minute, and just 2 panels. Now, I don't have the wood for the panels, but I have some mahogany there from a tree that fell down on the road there, and I'm thinking of making the panel from that. So the door is actually going to be 62 millimeters is the thickness of it, so that's 2.5 inches, and so it's going to be a really heavy door. It'll have big 5-inch hinges on it. It'll have double hinges up on the top, middle hinge and bottom hinge. At this time, I don't know whether we're opening it this way or that way, but anyway. So let's go into the workshop now. So the door is going to be like simple door. Hey. The narrower one on the top, you put the wider one on the bottom. I have wider piece here that I got, just one piece I got when I was buying the wood, and we'll put in here, we'll put in 1 rail. We will make a panel up, so my drawing is not great, but you get the picture. So the first thing we have to do, the first thing I'll do is, I have some other wood outside, and I'm going to make the panels. So we have 1 toe. We want to find out the size of our panel. So we've 140, 140. Remember, the other side is 2400. So we're taking off 140, and 140 is 280. And because we're going back in, we'll be sinking it back in, we know our panel needs to be 1 meter. We know that this is going to be 470 and 470 from 2.4. Is 1930. And we divide that by 2. .965. So this is 965 by 1 meter. The panel is not going to be. We wouldn't normally make the panel as thick as the door, right? Because the panel will always be set back in a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to even make a groove on it here. I haven't decided that yet. But the first thing I need to do is laminate pieces of wood like this together to come up with 965 plus and at least 1 meter wide, and 2 of them. And then I will see if I have enough wood to do that. And we will probably biscuit joint them together or something like that, or dowel them together or something like that. So now I'll just show you the wood I have here. Yeah, so the wood we have here is a nice bit of mahogany. That one's a bit narrow, but that one was, I will still get the 140 of it. The first thing I have to do with these pieces is to level them. We leveled them, reasonably leveled them earlier, but before we dried them. But I will hand plane them, hand plane them, I don't mean hand plane them. I will plane them with the hand electric plane first to get one side level, and then run them through the thicknesser. And if there might be a little bit of movement after we do that as well. But they're heavy still, even though they're dried out to, I'd say maybe 10%, 10%. So Our next job now is to bring in the mahogany from outside. It's cut with chainsaw, so I'm cleaning them up a little bit with thicknesser, and then after that I will use the hand electric plane to level one side and then taking them down, and we're taking an awful amount of wood off it. So I'll just continue with that. Okay, now I'm going to use this jointer here. This is a jointer jig for the saw. I'll give a link at the end or in the description how to make this jig here for jointing. I'm not going to show you very much of this. We flattened these. I flattened these on both sides. I made another jig for that, and I'll give you a link to that as well. That's a very simple jig. I don't do them all in the thicknesser, and I level them because I don't have a jointer, and you really need a big jointer for doing these. So I'll just start doing these now. I'll get Leo here to help me. Okay, so you get yourself organized now. We've all our lines done up and everything. Mask. Yeah, you set up your biscuit that it's going to be halfway down or near enough. I'm going to be taking them all from the one side. So, put on my mask so I'm not going to do any more talking. Okay, so before you glue anything up, the whole idea is that you get yourself organized, everything ready, paper under, clamps ready, your ones for sandwiching across after it's done. You do everything, and I'm not going to do it all with you, but the main thing is that you, when you're doing your glue up, is that you're organized before you do everything. So you have everything. I only glue one side, but these glue things are very good. But make sure you have paper underneath so that they don't stick and do any damage. So I put them in, I let the glue go down in, and then if it's, you should. I mean to buy a silicone spreader online. I can't buy them anywhere, only online. So I put in a little bit excess of glue, and then after you put them in, then you put more glue on them. And you put them in the center, always put them in the center, like this. You line them up like this. They're going to help you keep the thing straight. And then what I do then is I put, we're doing this the whole opposite way than we've done them before, but anyway. So now we start pulling them in. We can use a small clamp here to help line them up. No, I only need one, Leo. Next. Oh, yeah. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. The line is fine there. They're very tight, these ones. Not really the humidity, but they're inside a bag. Get up. Come on, you want here with me. Now open them out again. Open them out. Now push it all down. Push. Now, this is what's going to happen now. We're going to start cutting the paper on top and the paper on bottom. You just tighten it in and then we're going to loosen it again. Okay? Pull this one in. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to actually make the door. I have, as you can see here, I've all this wood all prepared. I have the two styles. I've decided to increase the size of the top rail and leave the middle rail just at this size. I'll show you the sizes now in a minute. Over here you can see the sizes, I've changed them. 180 for the top, 140 for the middle, and 200. The reason I wanted 180 up there, it will make the door more, it'll make the door less chance of twisting. So it'll give it more support by having the wider this is, obviously the stronger the door is going to be. And then it'll be covered up on the top, so it'll look like the same as this from the outside from the rebate in the door jamb. So our measurements are 180, 140, and 200. I'm going to explain to you these different sections, how these are going to work. So I've done another video on how to do a door before, but I'll give you a cross section of, say, here. Okay? So the way that's going to be is like, the door is going to be finished like this, but what it's going to look like inside is, because there's going to be a dado in here to take the panel. Okay, so the dado will be here. Okay, so the tenon will be starting where the dado is. So that tenon here will be going in here like this. Okay, and the tenon here then will be going up here like this, and then it'll be coming back in here again like this. There'll be a haunch here. We'll let a little haunch in here. There'll also be, the dado will be along here as well, of course, for the panel. But this haunch will come in here, and then we'll go back up again. We don't want to take too much meat out of the door. I explained that in another video there before where I was making French doors. So we'll make the little haunch come down here on the top. There's no dado on the top, and the haunch will come down here so the top is supported. And then we'll come in here with this tenon. And we'll try and make the two tenons the same size. I don't have picked out the size yet, but we will work it out later. So that's the way it is. The top one has a haunch here, maybe coming down 30 millimeters, 25, 30 millimeters down, or more, to keep the door steady. The haunch will be going in here, so the top of the door will look like, this panel here will look like this. The tenon will only go in a tiny little bit, the haunch, and then the end grain of this is the end grain of the style. So that's all you will see there is this part here. That's going to be the detail for the top and the bottom. For the middle one, we just have to be like this on both sides. Okay, we don't need to. The middle one doesn't need to have a haunch because it has meat on both sides. So in other words, there's no end grain. This is the end here, and the reason we have the haunch here is that we have to keep this wood here, which is this wood here, whereas in the middle we don't. So that's how we do. That's how we do our mortise and tenon for a door. It's pretty standard procedure. This is going to be a dadoed one. In other words, the panel is going to be fitted in. The panel won't be able to come out afterwards. Some people make a rabbet or rebate one, put the panel in and then put slips around it. No, a good door wouldn't be made like that. We'd have no slips in it. But the panel in this one, because the panel is so thick and all that, our mortise and tenon will be based on the thickness of our dado. So our dado and our mortise and tenon should be the same size in this one, because this one is very, very thick panels. So on the end of this, so you want to see a section here will just look like this here. See? That's all you see, and there's nothing more. There is one thing I'm after leaving out, and that is that we are not molding it. The house I have has got very, very little decorative. It's very simple, plain. It's a beach house and it's clean lines, modern look. But there will be a rabbet, because the doors I have inside, I bought them really cheap. They're mahogany. The inside doors have got a rabbet along here. They've got only one panel in them, and so there will be a rabbet along here. So we will rub this out, kind of. We won't rub it out, but we will, because you will see it. There will be, that's exactly what you will see. Now, I'm not sure exactly what size I'm going to make this rabbet, but the rabbet is going to be the whole way around the door. Right, so it'll be all the way down along the door. It'll be maybe 12 millimeters, 12 by 12. So we will go back to here where I gave you the wrong detail there a minute ago. There will be a rabbet here, right? There'll be a rabbet here on both sides. So our style, if we take a section of this style here, this style here will be shaped like, we're looking down this way, so we'll take cross section. Like that. Can you see that? This is the rabbet and this is the dado. So in turn, our piece of wood of our head, which are our top rail, we have to, when we're cutting out the tenon here, we will cut down here, but we're not cutting straight across here, so we cut across here, and then we have to take out this piece by hand, whatever way. The blade of the saw is not going to be deep enough for these, because these tenons are deeper, so I may use the bandsaw on them. So that's how we're going to set it out. This will be our door. These are our sizes. The next thing is setting out everything. So we have to make sure that the cut off of this one is here. Okay? The shoulder is cut off here, not the width between there and there. It's going to be plus whatever, plus twice. The shoulder of each of these pieces is going to be whatever this distance here is, from here to here. That's our two styles, plus the amount of the rabbet or the rebate of this part here, this part here. So this piece here is going to be maybe 15 millimeters longer this way, and it's than the style. So this is the style size, and this is the rabbet. So when we are measuring from one style to the other, we just make it 15 mm there and 15 mm longer. And then we cut out this part later on. Yeah, the rabbet is going to be, I think, 15. In the other doors inside, they're about 10. This is a much bigger door, and the proportions of it, we will try and leave it the same. So this, we will cut this out. I'm not sure how we will cut it out. We can cut it out with a chisel, easy. We can saw it out with a chisel, no problem. Because this tenon is so long, I cannot, it won't be, the blade of my saw is only 3-something inches, and I really need this tenon to go in more than 3/4 of the way, or as they say in the Philippines, 3/4 of the way into the stiles. When I started making doors first, we used to run them right through and put wedges this way. Okay, now we have all the dados out and all the thing. Now normally you wouldn't take this dado out till after you do the mortise, but it's much less chance of making a mistake if you do this now and you do these now, because then you're going to take your measurements for your for where you're going to put your mortises. So it's pretty straightforward. I will show you now in about 2 minutes. Boards. We put our two stiles together, and then we measure from here to here when they're sandwiched together. And now we have 256 millimeters. So 256 millimeters, we subtract that from the width of our door. So when we have the width of our, so that will be our lines for marking on our top rail, bottom rail, and middle rail of the door. So that will be the lines that we'll be doing. That will be the shoulder lines. So back to our board here again. Our door is 1 toe. So we'll say 1, 2. We usually try and make the door a little bit bigger. So we'll say 1, 2, 0, 5. It's 256. So that's very easy to do then. 949, is that right? Is that right? 949. So from shoulder to shoulder, from our line here, which that's not our line there. Our line is here and here. So we've taken the two sizes of this, and the distance between there and there and there and there is 256 because we sandwiched them together. So we were looking for this line here. These are shoulder lines. This is the most important thing, is the shoulder line. If you get the shoulder line wrong, your door is going to be too small. So it's going to be 949. Double check your measurement again. We're going to do our tenons first. So we'll do our tenons, and then we will cut out the haunches of our tenons then as well. And when we do that, then we will mark out our two styles, and we'll cut out the mortises in them. And then our door is almost finished. Okay, so main thing is measure twice, cut once. Okay, now we're ready to... I set up my tenons here. I set up my fence. I made this fence a long time ago. I made sure this is perfectly parallel. You try and get this square off this. I only got these 10 1/4 inch bits, blades, but I have this perfect. I done a trial with it first. We'll do a trial, always do a trial with it first. Now remember, this is our shoulder here, but we're going beyond the shoulder. Remember, we're going on beyond the shoulder. We're going on the thickness of this, which is 15 millimeters. So we're going 15 millimeters beyond it, because that's the overlap. Do you remember? So this will be 15 millimeters. So what you can do is you can measure in slightly, and you can finish it off with a handsaw. Back out then gently. Turn it over. Okay, now that we have our main tenons cut out, we have to cut out the dado along here, that fits over, on the style it fits over this part, so this sinks into this one. Now so you could cut this out instead, it's easier, but by doing this, going in and out and twice again, you actually have more gluing area. And when you're putting joinery together, the more surface that's glued together, the stronger the thing is. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure down the distance of this, which is 13 millimeters. We're going to measure down 13 millimeters. I'm going to 7 millimeter off. And then we will have a 7 millimeter dado along here. So the dado is 7 millimeters by 13 millimeters. So we mark, the first thing you do is you mark them all along. We will cut them out with a chisel in the end, but for the beginning part of it, I will go in with the bandsaw. Okay, afternoon. Now I'm going to cut the haunches out of this. So this one is the top rail and this is the bottom rail. So I'm going to guess. You don't want to take too much out of the door, but you do need a haunch on the bottom and the top of the door. So and that's on the flat side of both of these. So I'm going to do a haunch. I'll do 30 millimeters from there. Yeah, 35. I'll do 35 from there. So I'm going to go, I'll bring the camera in a bit closer to you now in a minute and explain to you what we're doing here. Not sure if you can see that or not, but I have the haunch out here and the haunch out of here. Okay, now that we have all our mortise, our tenons done, we see our tenon here. the haunch, and big meaty. It's a meaty door. It's a big door, right? So this is even heavy. Everything is heavy. Everyone's top. Now the next thing you establish, you put your two stiles out, decide which is the top. Now this piece here is bigger than the one here. So the one down here is 20 millimeters less. And then we'll mark out both of them. We'll make your door you make your door slightly bigger than the height of what you wanted, and yet we'll also we'll let the stile stick out maybe about 10 mm. So we're not going to cut anything off these at all. So I'm going to measure in 10 millimeters, and then I'm going to start taking our measurements. And then when you have this one marked out here, then when you have this one here, when you have this one marked out, we'll measure in 10 millimeters. And then we'll start off and we'll mark this and we'll mortise them out. When we have this one marked, the inside of this one versus the inside of the other one that's smaller down the other end, then we will measure between the two of them, and then we'll make sure that the other stile or the other rail, the center rail, is in the dead center, and that's it. So I'm just going to mark the tops of your stiles, which is the top of your door, so you don't get mixed up. And then just mark away, and then we'll start digging out the mortises. That's the hard part. So you get yourself all set up and make sure everything is nice and level. You have a stand. These are big lumps of wood. I have Leo helping me here, as of course. So I'm just going to do that haunch and a little bit beyond them then, and then we will cut down with the full one. I've already tested to see that this is exactly square with the travel of the drill. So we have this sliding in along it like this. Okay, so. Now it's come to the stop, and we slide it in. I'm going to go to the end here, where the haunches. And over here to this haunch part, just the center haunch. Take your time with this. The more of this you get out now, the easier it's going to be later on with the chisel. So I'm going to take the rest of them. The haunch is taken out of the mold. Now I'm going to go down the whole way with this till here. I don't want to damage this here, so I might put the so we're just going to go you go nice and gently, you squeeze. That's the advantage of drill press, is that you can go much slower. And these bits, these fastener bits, are meant to go at slow speed, not high speed. And take it up and take some back up out of it. Now, we have drilled out as far as our drill bit will go down. If you had a longer one with a longer throw, we're able to go down. We're only gone down 70 millimeters from here, which is only less than 60 from here. So we have to go another 30 millimeters like that. Mightn't have to go that much, but I'm 60 millimeters from here. I'm 60 millimeters from the shoulder here down, and our haunches perfect as well. Yeah, our haunches 21 millimeters. So now you have to do the hard work then now. So you're going to start chiseling. You get your chisels sharp. You might have to sharpen them during it. It's hardwood, and you just try and clean the sides. And then you get your smaller one, and you're going to cut one here. That's the good chiseling is always small bits at a time. You can cut a little bit this way. You can always take off another bit later on. So we're going to come down to our line here. You don't go down to your line the first time. You'll clean it up afterwards. Stay a millimeter or so away. Stay a millimeter away from the line, inside the line, and then later on we will take it out. We'll pare it down. You can pare it down. And pare it down. So the whole idea is this now. You're after spending so much time doing all this work now. You're going to take your time doing these. We've only got six mortises. Well, these are double mortises, finger mortises, but we've only got 6 places to work in, and you're probably going to spend about maybe 30 minutes or an hour on each of them to get them nice. You can come back on them later on and take more off. But for now, we will make up a little finger. I'll make up a 20 millimeter finger for testing them. And then we will be doing a dry fit. Okay, now we have done out all our mortises. It took a lot longer than I even said. It took the best part of 7 hours work. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a dry fit. Get your pieces ready where they're going to go, and we're going to do a dry fit. So I have Leo here helping me here. Now that's pretty good. When we're gluing it up, we will have clamps on both sides, just in case it kind of twists this a little bit this way. The joints are good there. My number here is 965 to 967. So our numbers were very good all along. So I am going to be cutting at 965 because I'm taking 5 millimeters off. 965. And the other way, this way, I'm going to cut it, double check again. 948, 943. So the width is 943. And the height is 965. Okay, now we're going to square off one side of this and then the other side. we're going to dry fit everything first. It's really, when you're doing a big project like this, you really, really need, when you're going to glue it up, it's going to be a big deal, right? So we are going to fit the panels and put the door together. So in order to do that, you need to put this one in first, then the panel, then this one, then the panel, and then the other style. So we have started off here. Now, I have two boys here helping me. I have Leo and I have Pillow. Pillow and they're going to go over there. They're a little bit tightish, but that's okay. They're a little bit looser here. That's okay. We will be putting dabs of silicone in there. So we're going to put this one in now. Let's go. We're going to stick it in here and then slide it in, and we'll probably use the clamp to pull it in. Now we're going to pull it in this way. Now, because there's a little bit of a bend in it, we will use the clamp. Okay? And then we will put this one in here, and then we'll put the other one on the other side. Then we'll mark exactly where they are. And then we will take it all apart, and we'll put the glue in and the silicone, and that's our door made. Okay, so we gave that a little bit of a sanding there. I'm just tightening them in there now. It's tight, but we want it fairly tight. We don't want it too tight. So I'll just give you, I'll bring you, we'll take the clamps off it now. Yeah. And I'll just show you what it looks like in a dry fit. It's the biggest door I've ever made. That's not tightened up, that joint yet, but I'm not going to. But we know we've done it already. As I said earlier, we're going to stain this door. Not really stain it, we're going to put Saddleline on it because of the sun. I can't use clear. So that's the door put together. And now we're going to take it apart again. And we're going to mark, we're going to make little marks along where the panels are, so that they're balanced. Okay, so we're going to balance the panels before we take it apart. Okay, now I have, we have little stoppers made here. I'll show you here on this camera here. I have little stoppers here that they're going to, we divide that the panel is going over and back. The panel could go left and right, so the panel will be central. Up and down, we will make them slightly different. So I am going to put silicone in here, a couple of dabs. That's to stop the panel making noise when it's the door bangs. We can also put silicone in later on, but at the moment I'm just going to put a few dabs in there. We're also going to, I have the epoxy mixed here. So we get the first piece down here first. Ow. So we have the epoxy mixed. This is messy stuff. It's a little bit, but we have to work. This is not fast setting. I don't use fast setting. Okay, turn it over. Turn it over first. Okay, so I'm going to put a little dab of silicone in the first one. This one. I'm going to put a little dab of silicone. I can't see it there. I'm going to put two dabs in of silicone in here like this, just to stop it rattling. Now, don't go in the whole way. Don't go in the whole way. But this in. No, this in first. Now push it in this way, Leo. No. Squala, this way. Come on, that's it. In more. In more. That's fine. We're not putting that in yet, Leo. Come on. Now push. I'm not in. I have to go a bit that way. Okay, that's fine. Now, no, don't do any more. No, come on, last one. Come down here. Okay. I don't move the thing. Don't move that. Move this. Don't move the... Are you in?
No.
Yeah? Okay, last one then. You got the right way around, yeah?
Oh,
Yeah? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now we have to move this in there, not the other way around. That Leo. Way too much. Now don't push it in the whole way yet. You balance it this way. Now, come on, let's put this in. One end first.
Problem there?
You can put another clamp on it if you want to. No, Leo, come on, let it go again. I have to let it out again. Get yourself pieces of wood ready, will you? Right, Leo? I don't really want to damage the panels by taking them, and then one will come out, yeah. So there's not even a millimeter difference between one side and the other. And our panel here is good, and our panel here is slightly different. This one looks good. This one looks like it maybe needed to go that way a bit, but you won't notice. 1 millimeter off with the panel is no problem. We'll just leave them. We'll just leave it now. Okay, we're using 4 people to lift the door up onto the weighing scales. I have to stand back so far. That's 60. Okay, so it's more than 80. I'm going to put it on 80 now. Okay. $91.
Are you sure that's gonna fit?
It's 92 kilos. Pounds. I'm going to put it on. Is it 200 pounds? I'm on 200 pounds there, and it's off. It's probably a half a pound short of 200 pounds. So you can see here 200 pounds. So in there. Okay, so that's our door now made up, our 8-foot door, our 200-pound door. A few things I changed in it from the beginning. Instead of putting it's hanging this way. My wife says it has to, and she's right too, it has to hang that way. We put in 4 hinges instead of, we put in 4-inch hinges, but they're really high quality hinges. I'll put a link on the bottom to where the kind of hinges we bought. They're 4-inch and they're 316 stainless steel with bearings inside in them, and they are smooth as like silk. And so anyway, sorry for such a long video, but I actually have 5 hours of footage, and I've brought it down to less than 1 hour for this. It's a big project. The door, we're very happy with the door. I gave it some saddle and coat, and we cannot buy a lock for it at the moment because it's 62 millimeters, right? So we cannot move because we're in lockdown. Well, we're not in lockdown. Our city, I can't go out of this city. I can't buy online, and so this door will have to wait. And I'll still have to modify the lock, because the lock I want is going to be a mortise lock like I have inside. There'll be Yale brand or something like that. So thank you very much for watching. And I know most of you will skip through it, but that's the whole idea. So you skip through, and then if you want to learn how to make a door yourself. It's a big project. You more than likely will need help with it. If you don't, it's very difficult, especially the gluing up and all that. And if you like this video, much appreciated if you subscribe up here on our channel. And it's been a long time since I made a video, because we're doing charity work here. So, and thank you again for watching.